I'm not, but we're going to try it anyway.
All right. Greetings, listeners in Listener Land. Welcome to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston, where we size up current and historic events involving people, places, and things in areas such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, government, health, history, housing, humor, justice, and sports. We originate from and connect the gateway city to what's going on regionally, nationally, internationally, and I will add galactically.
Right. The big black hole.
Yeah, the final frontier.
Wherever that
These are the voyages of St. Louis in Tune.
That's
It's
right.
enduring mission.
I know it. Going where no one wants to
Yeah,
go.
where no one wants to go.
Right.
But everybody wants to listen.
We do. We have millions of listeners
Oh, yeah.
all around the world.
Maybe 25 million.
I know. We're pretty close. I know. We're streaming it everywhere, though.
That's
we are.
right.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll hear back someday from some Martian or something like that.
Gosh.
They'll get on me for my last lines that I always
Oh,
say.
no. I want to hear Martian language. I can't even imagine what that sounds like. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm still going about the Gallinipper.
Yeah,
We learned yesterday.
We learn a new word every day.
Yesterday, yeah.
Gallinipper was the one
Our last show.
from a previous
show.
show, and it means this large, a various mosquito, an insect that stings or bites like a large mosquito.
Yeah. So go kill that Gallinipper, honey.
Well, today's, I'll give it to you, but then we're going to get to our
Okay,
interval.
I'm sorry.
It's
All
a
right. I beg your
biteable,
pardon. All right. It's a biteable.
a biteable,
Nothing like a
or a
biteable.
bittable,
Okay.
bittable. Okay.
Sounds like something that, yeah. Okay. Had
So
to be-
our thought for the day is try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. But you know, rainbows
Aw.
appear when light shines,
Mm. Good point.
and you have to be on the correct side of where that light is reflecting.
I still like the end of the rainbow where all that gold is.
Especially today.
Yeah, especially today. That's right. And folks, if you're not aware, we are doing this show on St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
And I don't know that I have any green on.
No, you're going to get pinched before it's all over.
No, well,
Okay. Yeah. He's looking at me like, no, you're not. I've got a pocket knife. Okay, go ahead.
it's just, there's a lot of things going on in our community. And one of the things that we love to do is promote the arts. And there is a production that's being performed at Max and Louis Productions. It's going to be running at the Marcel Theater, April the 6th through the 23rd. So it's coming up. It's part of the 2023 theatrical season for Max and Louis Productions. And the play is entitled What the Constitution Means to Me, and it's by Heidi Schreck. And our guest today is Michelle Hand, and she is, you know, she honed her acting skills as a middle school debater. And we talked about debating in our previous show. She has performed in A Christmas Carol at the Rep here in St. Louis. She performed at Max and Louis Productions and received a St. Louis Theater Circle Award nomination for Sugar in Tiny Beautiful Things. And she performed as Mrs. Bennett in Pride and Prejudice at the Rep, where she received another St. Louis Theater Circle Award nomination. And I think I've seen you in some productions on stage.
Yeah, I've been around for a while.
No, you've done some great work. And you also have appeared in an off-Broadway premiere of The Day of the Dog. You co-founded the Orange Girls Theater Company, which we're going to have to talk about.
Wow.
And you've been in more than 40 productions here in St. Louis. Wow, you're a very versatile and I will say seasoned actor.
Yes, and very fortunate.
Well, welcome to St. Louis in Tune.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Now, tell us a little bit about this production and what the Constitution means to me.
So this play actually has two parts. In the first part of the play, it's based on real events in Heidi Schreck's life, where she, as a 15-year-old debater, would go to these American Legion halls and give this speech on the Constitution in a contest for prize money. She was able to fund her way through college with this prize money. So clearly, she was very good at this contest.
Wow.
So she decides she's going to recreate it for the audience that comes to our show. So I go up there as a 15-year-old debater, and I sort of enact the debate. But in the process of doing that, the adult Heidi steps in and gives us an idea of how that that founding document, the Constitution, has shaped 4 generations of women in her family.
Mm.
So that's the arc of the first part of the play. The second part of the play is we bring out an actual teenage debater, and we have 3 extraordinary young women. We've got Riley Carter Adams, we've got Iceland Morrow, and we've got Mahi Sani. And they're going to come out and we're going to flip a coin, and we're going to have a 15-minute live debate in front of the audience.
A real deal.
The real deal on whether or not we should abolish or keep the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, I'd like to
Ooh.
hear that. I
Ooh.
want to hear that one. I think that's a
Ooh.
good debate.
You know, the thing about debate is, which we've talked previously, is you have to learn both sides of the issue.
Precisely.
And you don't know which one you're going to have to defend.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think part of the point of the play is that people have very strong feelings about the Constitution.
Right.
It's a fundamental, it has all of our hopes,
Uh-huh.
but it also has been a sort of fraught document in terms of people's opinions about how it's been interpreted
Mhm.
over the years, the centuries. But with debate, because you have to look at both sides of the issue,
Mhm.
this play insists on looking at both sides of the issue.
Love it.
Why? Because this 15-year-old Heidi, she loved this document. She loved it. She was obsessed with it, right? So you take the love that this 15-year-old had, the hope that they find in this document, and then the adult Heidi looking at some of the ways that those hopes have not been realized, especially for the women in her family.
Wow. Love it.
How, as you see the kids performing and practicing this,
Yeah.
are they practicing the debate as they go and do this? Or is it just like, no, we're just kind of studying for one side or the other? Or do you actually have them, engage in these as they go?
We do. We have an incredible director, Nancy Bell, who has worked with. She is on staff at St. Louis University, so she's worked with teenagers her entire life, right? So what we've been doing in rehearsal with these kids is. We have the scripted issues that we know that we have to tackle, but she also has us do a lot of improvisation. So like in last night's rehearsal, we had to debate on things like extemporaneously, which means in the moment, on things like, is coffee or tea better? Are you a dog person or a cat person? And literally this actress and I stand up there and we fight it to the death. And Nancy decides who wins the contest.
Wow.
So we're sharpening our skills on not only how to argue the issue and to think about both sides of things, but how do you engage the audience?
Mhm.
How do you get people to not only to listen to you, but to kind of stand in your shoes and understand your point of view?
Mhm.
It's an extraordinary opportunity that these young women are getting to be heard, but also to get that feeling.
Right, right. Now, have they shown or expressed any kind of change in feelings about the Constitution or about issues that relate to constitutional, support in this process?
Well, we're still pretty early in the process, so I've really only worked with 2 of the 3 so far.
Mhm.
I will say this generation is more politically aware
Mhm.
than definitely my generation was, but it's fascinating to watch them think about the issues of this document that they know about. They know about issues about things like they know that they've enacted like voter registration drives,
Right.
but then understanding what the language in the Constitution actually says
Mhm.
and how it had to be amended to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to vote. You kind of start to see some of those gears click in,
Right, right.
and that's a fascinating process.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So were you were a speech and debater?
Yes, I was a proud debater for the Bellarmine Speech League
Oh,
when I was a
my.
kid. And I actually am so grateful to Francesca DeRollo, my 6th grade teacher, Francesca, if you're listening, because that early experience with debate of going, you would do a dramatic monologue. So there was an acting piece, but then I also did the debate part, the extemporaneous, where you were given a topic. You had 5 minutes to prepare,
Mhm.
Right.
and then you had to go in and you had to convince these adult judges to listen to you.
Wow.
That experience gave me so much confidence
Mhm.
in my own ideas, my own ability to process things, and my ability to be in conversation not only with the issue but with another person in the room.
Mhm.
It was a really incredible confidence building thing for me, and I think of those days very fondly.
Oh,
We were talking about why that should be. I think it should be a requirement in school
Completely agree.
oh, yeah.
Completely agree.
because
yeah.
it's too much of this, and
Uh,
I'm getting my information from this or what I heard said rather than I have to defend one way or the other.
Right.
Absolutely. And when you're doing it in person, you have to use your body. You check in with the other person.
Uh-huh.
You get that face-to-face thing
Right.
where you know if your arguments are landing
Right.
or not.
Right.
Right.
Good. Good
And
point.
it really does. It puts us back in connection with each other as human beings,
Yeah.
as responding human
Yeah.
beings. It's too easy to lose context and tone when
Mhm.
you're texting or when it's on a screen. So I love this opportunity
Yeah.
to enact this in the room with an entire audience.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
Total
So-
sense. Yeah.
What's been the challenging part of this role for you? Is it going from the young version to the current version, or?
I think a little bit because I tend to want to default into the adult point of view.
Mhm.
That because I think that aligns more closely with my own point of view.
Mhm.
So finding a way to maintain that 15-year-old enthusiasm, because that is an essential part of the story.
Right.
Heidi Schreck is not a cynical person. She loves her country. She loves this document as an adult, but really grapples with the reality of what happened to some of the women at her family that were not protected
Mhm.
by this document.
Mhm.
So yeah, being able to be both things at the same time, it's the challenge, but it's also like the good part, right?
Right.
That's the artistic delight is how to let that adult sneak out and then pull her back in.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that part's going to be exciting for the audience to watch, to see those moments when that slip happens.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
That's
Love
fascinating.
it. Yeah.
So how has this changed you in any way, Michelle? I know you're not all the way through,
Mhm.
um, you know, the practicing of this, the performance hasn't started yet, but has this kind of got you thinking and, a little disequilibrium going on, or maybe just a little shaking up and then solidifying, or?
Absolutely. I think the way that it's affected me, like the most personally, artistically, it's been fantastic. It's been a wild ride. Already so much fun. I'm discovering new ways of being present on stage, which I really love. But personally, I'm going to admit that I am a person who, after a certain amount of time, really did start to turn the news off and
Right.
did start to just try to disengage because I didn't know a way to engage positively anymore.
Right.
But this play has really activated back in me this new way of thinking about how I can reactivate and engage because I have a child and that is growing up in this world and I want to help them know how to navigate it, and I can't do that if I'm disengaged.
Right.
So this play has really
Correct.
inspired me to enter back into the conversation.
Wow.
Now you mentioned, and I may use the wrong word, that it's caused you to think of your presence or something on the stage.
Uh-huh.
Explain that a little bit. What does that mean?
Well, part of what has been fun about this play is learning how to embody this 15-year-old.
Mhm.
Tapping back into who I was as a 15-year-old. And I don't know about you, but when I was a 15-year-old, I had no control of myself physically or mentally. Just stuff would come
No.
spilling out of my face.
Right.
So the delight of sort of playing around in that. But how do you do that when some of the things that this 15-year-old is talking about are really difficult?
Right.
How do I embody this adult Heidi that wants to protect this 15-year-old
Mm.
in her optimism and in
Oh.
her delight, to encourage it, but also somehow protect her? And how do I express that physically?
Right.
How do I help the audience see that internal struggle going on in a visible way?
Right. It's
Mhm.
interesting
Mhm.
because I think
Fascinating.
about how a teenager stands
Right.
and
Mhm.
just reacts to things, and then how, as an adult, we're
Yeah.
stand up straight, and look people in the eye and all that kind of. That would be very fascinating. So, what does the Constitution mean to you?
Oh,
that's a good one.
Let's
That's a
debate.
good
Can
one.
we debate?
Exactly.
Let's do
Exactly.
the debate now. All right.
My name is Michelle Handon for the proposition of. I will say that I appreciate that the Constitution is a flexible document. I think the fact that they baked into it this idea of having amendments, knowing that it needed to grow and change as
Mhm.
people grew and changed.
Wow.
I do think we have a fundamental problem with how it gets enacted
Mhm.
in terms of there is a 9-person panel that pretty much gets to determine
Yeah.
what changes happen.
Mhm.
And that right now is in this push and pull of depending on who's in power, whose voice gets heard.
Right.
And I don't think that that's useful for any of us.
Right.
So the idea of maybe not necessarily scrapping the document, but doing a major overhaul of it so that it really does get back to representing we, the people, all the people, including the ones that the original founding document left out.
Right.
There's a point in the play where one of the young debaters talks about it's not till page 34 of the Constitution that all Americans actually get recognized as human beings.
Right.
People of color, women, they were not recognized
Right.
as human beings
Right.
until page 34.
Right.
That could use some revising,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
You
Right.
think? Okay.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that second branch of government to actually exercise their legislative function.
Oh, stop
Correct.
it. Stop
I mean,
it. Wow.
Yeah,
You know,
we're going to get political, folks.
I know.
You can't help it. You can't help
I
it.
know.
you know, it's like if everybody just did their job in the
Okay.
function as it was designed in the Constitution,
Right,
you know, we might be further along.
right.
Might
And
be. Yeah.
And what I love about this play is that it's political in that it refers to the body politic, the body that we all inhabit and live in this country, but it's not polemical.
Mhm.
It is not, she certainly has a point of view. But just like you said earlier, the beauty of ending the show with a debate is that it's not about trying to wrench everybody into one perspective.
Right.
It is how do we take all of these perspectives in a way that truly serves us and our country.
Wow.
Well, you know, the other thing I think is having people think about other people's perspectives and respecting that.
Yeah.
And maybe agreeing to disagree rather than, you know, oh, I'm going to dislike you or I'm going to unfriend you or whatever you're going to do. And it's or just be very hostile to people. It's just not what I would call something we've been as a country we're known for.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah, and debate forces you to be respectful.
Right.
Right? It has
Yes.
rules. It
Yes.
has order. It has points of order. Each person gets a certain amount of time.
Right.
So it's, again, there's something about bringing that structure in and modeling for folks. This is a way you can walk out of this play and have that conversation, maybe with
Right.
a difficult relative or with your kid about some of the political realities that are out there that we may disagree on. But look, there is a way to talk about these things.
Isn't it interesting, Mark? We're
Yes.
going to have a play model for people how they should behave and act in
Oh,
public and in their
no.
private life.
No.
Wow.
No, I know. Let's give away free tickets.
Right?
Yeah. We're talking to Michelle Hand. She's the actress in What the Constitution Means to Me. It's by Heidi Schreck. You're listening to Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. And women in history who inspired you.
Oh, really, my mom.
Oh,
Bless your heart.
yeah.
Really, my mom and my grandma. That's the other thing that this play
Aw.
has really made me think about is, when you grow up, your mom is there to sort of serve your needs, and God love my mother for doing that as well as she did for so many years. But as you grow older, you start to learn their stories,
Right.
and you learn about the lives they had, whole lives before you were born.
Right.
What?
Right.
What's
and-
that about?
And the stories, the older that I get and the more that I look for details about them, the more extraordinary they become to me.
Mhm.
The lengths they went through to make sure that I grew up in a beautiful,
Mhm.
safe home that had an opportunity to have education, to take dance lessons, to be an actor.
Mhm.
That was all paved by the women that came before me. My
Mhm.
dad is a great man, but honestly, it's those women working in the house every day, the little actions that inspires me.
Which leads me to a question, and I'm glad you made that particular comment because this is a general question and then it's a specific question.
Mhm.
Do people in society realize that they have what they have, that they're standing on the shoulders of other people who have gone before them, who have paved the way? That's one part of the question. And then secondly, does that come out in the play itself?
Yeah. I would argue, I think there's some that do. I think there are some people that pay great homage. I think you find that especially in our communities of color right now,
Mhm.
are really calling for that redefinition of legacy
Mhm.
and what it means
Mhm.
because I think they have been forced to feel on a more direct daily level that it really was the actions of the people that came before them that allowed them basic human rights.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think women understand that in a way too
Mhm.
sometimes. So yeah, I think that there's some respect for that, but that's the amazing thing. I mean, the internet, I want to disparage it too. Social media, I want to disparage that too. But it is a platform,
Right.
and it's an incredible platform for highlighting um, and amplifying the message of those folks that came before us that didn't have that kind of reach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The way that I think it gets treated in the play is we have an extraordinary actor that shares the stage with me.
Mhm.
His name is Isaiah De Lorenzo, and he plays the Legionnaire. So we literally have a guy from like the American Legion Hall standing up on stage, watching Heidi as she goes through this contest
Okay.
and goes back and forth between adult Heidi and 15-year-old Heidi. And at one point, he gets an opportunity to talk about the legacy of men that he's come from
Mm,
and how that shaped him
that's interesting.
in ways that he understood at the time and as an adult now understands differently.
Hmm.
So there is an opportunity to kind of hear about the legacy we both inherit as men and women in a patriarchal
Mhm.
sort of environment, the limits of that, the ways that we've been skewed by that, and then opportunities to kind of reclaim a different story.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's
I agree
really-
with all that.
yeah. Yeah. That's,
Everything she said. But
so the I have a ton of questions here in front of me, and if you had one thing that you think, one reason why people should see this, I know we've talked about a lot of different things, but if you wanted to kind of hone in on the one thing why people should see this play, it would be
It would be that what Heidi goes through and the generations of women that came before her went through is something that all of their mothers, daughters, aunts, grandmas, the lady that works in the cubicle down the hallway from you are going through every single day.
Mm.
And better understanding that story, how the political really is the personal, is the starting place where I think we can begin to have more meaningful connection and more meaningful conversations with each other.
Where do you think this disconnect has come about from?
Unfortunately, some of it is baked into that founding document.
Okay.
And again, the founding fathers could only work with what they had.
Right.
And what they had at the time was a system that only recognized certain people as human beings.
Right. That's true. That's true. Which in a lot of societies, if you go back and look through history, one group conquered another one and they either killed them all or they made them slaves.
Exactly right. And we literally have the oldest constitution in the world.
right.
We literally do. And there
Yes.
are
Good
benefits.
point.
You can say on the one hand, that's extraordinary. Look at how this document has led us for all of this time,
Mhm.
right? There is strength and there's something to be admired in that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we have lots of cultures and countries that have created brand new constitutions. And we can learn from them.
Right.
We can learn from these new documents that actually include gender inclusive language, protection for the environment, healthcare.
Right. Yeah. Lots, a lot in that. What the Constitution means to me, it premiered off Broadway at the New York Theater in 2018. It opened also at the Helen Hayes Theater in 2019, and they're resuming, I guess, the national tour. It's back on.
I know that the tour was there for a while. I think the reason we were able to get the rights is because maybe the tour is ended for
Okay,
a time, or at
okay.
least won't be coming this way, which is why we were able to do it.
Okay. Wow. And my last question that I always ask artists is, what do you tell the youngster who is really interested in getting into the business, into the profession? They think, all I have to do is do X, Y, and Z, and I'll be on Broadway.
Right.
What advice do you give them?
I think I would say it is less about taking the dance class with the particular academy or getting the particular voice teacher or even getting working with the particular company. Go with the roles that excite you, that are fun to you, that allow you to play. I would say work as much as you possibly can. Enjoy it. Pursue those parts of it that you love. I think sometimes it gets easy for young artists to feel that there's a certain prescription that if I don't do X, Y, Z, I don't get
Right.
the big thing.
Right.
But if you follow what you love, if you follow what your gut tells you is the thing that really speaks to you, you're going to do your best work. That's the pathway I'd recommend they pursue.
That's great advice from Michelle Hand. She's an actor in the What the Constitution Means to Me by Heidi Schreck. It is being performed at Max and Louis Theater, upcoming April 6th through the 23rd. Folks, go see that one. I know you'll enjoy that. It will be a challenge to everybody who goes, and it will challenge them to think and be thinkers, which is what we need in our country. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. So nice to meet you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. Don't go away. This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
At St. Louis in Tune, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories, as well as interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. We cover a wide range of topics, such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we also connect to what's going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find the show notes and everything that was mentioned in that episode and all the other great episodes as well. And if you've got an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, well, just let us know by dropping us a note at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune. It's heard Monday through Friday on the USRadioNetwork.com and many great radio stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. Visit us today. That's stlintune.com.
Yeehaw!
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune, y'all.
Y'all come back now.
And plural is all y'all.
Y'all?
All y'all is the plural of y'all.
Why? Okay. I don't want to know how do you spell it?
Y''ALL.
Y-A.
Y'all.
Okay. Y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all. Hell, y'all.
Welcome back,
Y'all.
y'all to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston.
Oh, man. Okay.
So Michelle did a great job. That was fun.
Michelle Hand, yes.
Yes, Michelle Hand. She's performing in What the Constitution Means to Me by Heidi Schreck. We happen to have a clip of Heidi Schreck talking to PBS about the Ninth Amendment, which is the one that kind of got her going. Let's listen to that.
Okay.
Certainly 10 years ago, I was not thinking about a constitutional crisis or confrontation, as some people are saying today. I was really thinking about how this document impacted and shaped my own life. So the prompt for the contest when I was 15 years old was to draw a personal connection between your own life and the document. And of course, at 15, that was not easy for me to do. I didn't know enough about myself or really about the country or the document itself or the history of our country to do that in any meaningful way. And so I thought it would be interesting to go back as an adult woman and say, what would it mean to take the prompt of this contest seriously? Like, how has this document actually shaped and impacted my life? And while I was doing that, while I was researching it and diving back into, personal stories from my own life, I discovered the way that it had sort of changed and shaped and circumscribed the lives of 4 generations of women in my family.
Right.
And I really delved into the stories of my great-great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and realized how deeply connected their lives were to this Constitution.
You focus on 2 particular amendments. So tell us why you chose these 2 particular amendments.
Sure. I chose the 9th Amendment because, well, honestly, I chose the 9th Amendment at first because as a teenager, it was my favorite amendment. I think it might be the amendment that appeals most to a teenager because it's quite mysterious, quite poetic. The 9th Amendment says, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people, which is just, it's a little amendment sitting right there in the Bill of Rights that says, we couldn't specifically list all the rights that you have here, but we want to make sure that you understand that just because a right is not listed here, it doesn't mean you don't have that right. It doesn't mean your state can't pass a law, for example, granting you a certain right. It doesn't mean that that the rights that we have written down are the only rights you have. And I think as a teenager, I found this incredibly appealing, mysterious. And then when I revisited the amendment as an adult woman, I realized how powerful the amendment was and how deeply it had affected the rights of women in this country.
Very interesting
kind
of discussion she had there with PBS about, her origins of this particular thing. And again, folks, the show is called not Every Brilliant Thing. Sorry about that. What the Constitution Means to Me. And that was Heidi Schreck. She was talking to PBS at the time. And this is going to be performed at I'm not familiar with this theater, the Marcel Theater. Are you familiar with that?
No, I have never ever heard of it.
It's Maxim Louis Productions, April 6th through the 23rd here in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also winner of the Best American Play and was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go figure.
Wow. Crazy.
A lot of stuff there.
Yeah. A lot of stuff there.
So encourage you to do that. Support the arts within our community, especially those that are performed on stage.
It brings up so many questions about it. I guess they debate whether or not we should even keep the the Constitution. I'm all about keeping it.
You have to think about this. It's kind of like before you tear down that wall, you have to know why it was put up there to begin with.
I think it needs work, and I think they made it so it could be a living, breathing document. It's the oldest document, as she said. It's the oldest document in the world,
right? And
it's it's done well for us, I think, in many ways. And I think some tweaking and some changes, and let it evolve as we evolve as humans and society. And it has that latitude in it where you can do that. So I don't agree that the way it sits is maybe not the best, but I don't want to throw it all out because I think there's a lot of good things about it.
It's lasted a long time, and nothing is perfect.
No.
And if you think about this, think about Congress right now, and think about the ages of the people who are leading us. Okay.
All right.
The guys that wrote those documents, the guy that wrote the Declaration, he was in his 20s.
Right.
The guys that wrote the Constitution, they were in their 20s and 30s. So what kind of wisdom and intelligence and just studying
Uh-huh.
of civilizations
Right.
when they put this one together.
Right.
And I think about that. And I think about the 20 and 30-year-olds now
Uh-huh.
who are serving in Congress,
Right.
and then the old farts who are serving in Congress. I'm thinking like, man, you guys have nothing
Right.
compared to them.
Right. Right.
Nothing.
No, not a thing. Right.
So it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Okay.
Here's a word for the day, Mark.
Oh, it's time for word for the day.
I need to come up with some jingle.
Yeah,
for,
we need some jingle
some
for
kind
that.
of music for that.
Ta-da! Okay, I don't have any. Let me see if we can find something for the for the word of the day. Let's see. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not gonna be it.
Unless it's
Nope,
Mr. Ed.
that's not- Wait,
Mr. Ed's word for the day.
Here's the word for the day. Okay.
Folks, it's desired to be
The word for the day.
the word for the day. You are a biddable, sweet-natured young man.
A biddable?
Biddable.
You have to spell them.
Biddable. Biddable.
Biddable.
Meekly ready to accept and follow instructions. Synonyms:
Okay.
obedient,
Oh.
pliable,
Ooh.
amenable,
Biddable.
biddable.
You are biddable.
The galley nipper was very biddable in biting me. Those are 2 words, folks.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. We're looking for something to go with this. Okay. Biddable.
Imagine a biddable
Oh, a biddable.
mosquito. Trying to be Rod Serling there. Not
That's
very
right.
good.
No, it's not. Don't quit your day job.
So speaking of the Constitution,
okay.
I came across an article by John McGinnis,
Uh-huh.
and this article is entitled
Hmm.
How Institutions Crumble.
Oh.
And if you think about I don't even want to call it debate going on
Uh-huh.
in our culture right now. I don't think it's a debate. It's more like a mudslinging event.
Okay.
I would say that. And part of that is due to social media. And part of that is due to people not thinking for themselves and
Uh-huh.
investigating things themselves and thoroughly turning every rock over before they make decisions and open their mouths.
Oh.
Did I say that?
Uh-huh. You did.
Um,
And I heard you.
But there is, there's some norms.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, here's a norm. And it's also a something that you don't do. You don't yell fire in a crowded movie theater.
No, you don't.
Okay. That's a norm.
Yeah.
There's certain norms like you stop for a stoplight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in my neighborhood.
Not my neighborhood either.
Or stop sign. What is a that's a optional. Stop signs are optional.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like it today. Maybe
I
not.
know it. Yeah.
So
Boy,
this whole thing about there's these customary norms of being neutral
Mm-hmm.
or things that they really don't have a one way or the other,
Mm-hmm.
and how social discord follows when there is a destruction of norms,
Mhm.
and you have chaos that comes on. And I want to read something to you.
All right.
This is from this article by John McGinnis, John O. McGinnis. The unraveling of institutional norms in the face of perceived political imperatives is sadly not limited to politics or law. Universities are supposed to be above politics and ideology so they can pursue their mission of knowledge without the distorting pressures. Now, some universities,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like unity in diversity,
Mhm.
university, unity in diversity.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow.
All right. Now, so when somebody comes on to speak at a campus,
Uh-huh.
but there's a group of people that, we really don't want them coming on here because they believe blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then it forces the university to say, well, I guess we shouldn't have that person come on. That's where this whole issue of not a debate, but just knowledge
Mhm.
and being respectful and
Mhm.
hearing another side, or
Mhm.
having the other side have the ability to have this speech, that begins to sound like groups that we were fighting against,
Right.
in wars.
It does. Yeah.
So I want to go on with this. Professors are supposed to be evaluated on the quality of their research and teaching, but now universities regularly pressure them into politically correct positions by forcing them to submit statements about how they have advanced diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
Again, the motivation is that some political issues are so important that they justify jettisoning longstanding institutional norms like academic freedom.
Wow. Don't like that.
And then here's another one.
There's more.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's not casting the blame, but he goes into schools. Civic education in schools is also key. One problem on both sides of the political spectrum is that American history is often presented as a story of heroes, even if the constellation of heroes differs depending on political viewpoint. Now, this is very important, folks. What is needed, however, is a greater focus on institutions and on the social norms that make for a democratic republic.
Oh my.
That focus also has the virtues of getting students to think more abstractly beyond the causes they espouse or politicians they like. For 2 centuries, America has continued to be a magnet for others around the globe, and attractions, fortunately, have not depended upon one leader or another because most are mediocre.
Uh-huh. Wow. Very good.
I thought that was very interesting, and I like to read a variety of things that cause me to think, rather than justify or verify. And yes, you tell them, you go for it. You watch certain shows. Yeah, you smack them upside of the head. I don't want to listen to that.
No.
I don't want to listen to. I want somebody to stimulate my brain.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not my emotional area of my brain.
Yeah.
My intellectual portion. Challenge me in my ideas, or challenge me to think beyond where I am thinking now.
Right. Yeah. I like to think with my heart, and
I agree with that.
Sometimes they don't. People think with their, what do they say? The brain doesn't hear it until doesn't listen until the heart hears it. Brain doesn't listen until the heart hears it. So if you can, I think people, if they listen with their heart, maybe a little bit more, might be a little bit more open to other.
If people have
They should be.
experienced certain things,
Maybe they're not brought up that way anymore, Arnold. Maybe maybe they're just not being taught that to be,
empathetic.
that's a good word. That should be one of our words for the day. Empathetic. Yeah,
Walk a mile in my shoes.
I know.
It's like somebody, I know you. No, you don't know me.
Right. Right.
You don't know what I've been through.
And I'm going to say a good politician, because I was, but a good politician will listen
Mhm.
and will change their mind.
A good administrator will too.
They'll change their mind.
Right.
Right. The ones that are, I'm not changing no matter what you say or do,
That's too ideologically driven.
it is dictatorships.
That's really on the verge of those
It
things.
is. I hate to say it. Yeah. Yeah. Don't
I'll
forget-
say it.
Yeah. I run into it every day. People telling me what I can and can't do. And I go, whoa. This is a democracy, not a dictatorship here.
Right.
They like somebody said, don't respond to his email. I'm like, well, wait a minute. He sent it to me too.
Right.
I'm going to respond if I want.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah.
And I wonder many times that people are not thinking in the long term.
Mhm.
They're thinking in the short term. In other words, they're thinking in like the here and now.
Uh-huh.
And rather than, if that continues in 5 to 10 to 15 to 20
Mhm.
to 50 years, where's that going to be? I also think that, when I was a school administrator and I said, we're going to do something this way,
Uh-huh.
and people complain, I said, I don't want to hear you complain.
Right.
If you want to complain, bring me a solution.
Right.
I'm one mind.
Mhm.
We can all be successful if we all come up with a better solution.
I don't.
So if you have something that's better,
Yeah.
don't whine that you don't like this. Bring me a solution.
Right.
And if I think it's better, we'll do it.
It's interesting that you say that as an administrator, because I was a mayor and I used to sit there and we'd come up with an idea that would help the community at large,
Mhm.
and people would just complain. And there was a few times when I said, just tell us you got a better idea.
Right.
Give me the better idea. Give us the better idea. Let us know.
Right.
If you have something that is going to be better than what we've thought through and debated and researched, and God love you. If you have it, please share it.
Well-
Quit being mean to us. Quit, talking down to us. Just tell us what your idea is so we can all benefit from this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great illustration of that is going on right now
Mhm.
with the homeless situation.
Right.
Where some people don't even
Yeah.
like to call it homeless. It's like housing shortage.
Right, yeah.
Look,
Let go of it.
Yeah. It is what it is. And now there's a church down in the Carondelet area that is being, my words, targeted
Uh-huh.
for a home for homeless, and it's about like 100-bed facility. Well,
Okay.
the community down there is upset about that, and maybe like rather than 100, maybe like 20. But here's the thing: I live downtown,
Uh-huh.
downtown St. Louis,
All right.
and downtown St. Louis is like the homeless mecca. Everybody from the county, matter of fact,
I don't know.
I'll call it out. The Richmond Heights police have been seen
Uh-huh.
dropping off
Oh,
homeless people.
Oh no.
Okay.
We had that.
And I will say this too: folks who are good natured come from the county and they want to bring food or bring blankets or
Uh-huh.
bring tents. That's great. But if you all do that, you're enabling the situation that's going on down there.
Right.
And you don't come the next couple days and clean up all the debris
Mhm.
that's left. Okay. Because we see it.
Right.
We have a dysfunction in government where they do not want to, they have an ideological bend, which is what we've talked about.
Uh-huh.
I want it this way. I want it this way.
Right.
They just bulldozed over an encampment that was where the admiral used to tie up.
Right.
That's been going on for several years.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why things have to get to this degree before they're dealt with. There is a tiny home
Good.
group that's been
Uh-huh.
built. There's the housing first, the
Mhm.
government thing, like let's get people in housing and then we'll worry about,
Mhm.
if they have some kind of mental illness, if they have some kind of addiction, if they need a job, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And then there's
Right.
some people that just want to be on the streets
Right.
and they're not going to take anything that you want to give them
Right.
except if you give them money
Right.
or if you give them food. And then sometimes they'll take the food and sell that so they can buy drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's true.
how many of the homeless can you actually
Right.
disclassify or declassify as
Right.
being that by providing all these services? And then how many will
Mhm.
actually want to continue being there?
Right.
But that's going on right now, what we just talked
Yeah.
about down in
Right.
Carondelet area.
Right. And I know there's, I think the last statistic I saw, about 30% of the population needs help.
Mhm.
About 30%.
Mhm.
Now that's a lot, but it's not a lot. I mean, when you consider how many people we have,
Right.
and what 30% is, and my thing is, help them. Quit debating this. Let's get together, the rest of us, the 70%, and let's help those 30%.
As a metropolitan area,
Right.
not like the downtown or the city
Right.
of St. Louis.
Right. Which is, yeah. Which is why I think the city and the county should be one.
Right.
The city
Agreed.
should be one of the 93 cities in the
Right.
part of the county.
We
And,
need one police force.
and if you need to cut the city up into 2 or 3 different smaller cities, then so
Right.
be it. Yeah.
Right.
But we are all in this together, and they sure act like we're not,
Right. Agreed with that. Agreed with that.
and they act like we're not. So that's what I can tell you.
So let's move to something a little more enjoyable.
Okay.
Near the
I have a couple things.
Oh, you do? Oh,
I do,
okay. I'm sorry.
I know you're surprised. I do homework once in a while.
Okay.
I hate homework, but I do it. So it's interesting. Today is St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, it is.
You're not wearing green, so you're going to get pinched when the show is
Okay, let's see if I
when
can.
we're off it. No, you don't have green anywhere.
Let's see.
Got
green on my watch here.
No. Oh, no, that doesn't count. So today also is Campfire Girls Day.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Campfire Girls Day is celebrated to commemorate the founding of Campfire. So the girls got in there.
They're going to do a campfire tonight? or-
I love campfires.
Who's the founder of Campfire Girls?
Don't know. It doesn't. I don't. That's a little. We'll have to research that and get back with you in another show. Campfire Girls Day, not whatever, but Campfire Girls Day. It's also Doctor Patient Trust Day.
I trust my doctor all the time.
I know it. I know. National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day. You like corned beef and
I
cabbage?
love corned beef and
Do
cabbage.
you now?
Yes. Yes. I love cabbage,
Do you?
especially cooked cabbage.
Yeah. Makes me gassy. Okay. Sorry.
You didn't play that sound effect.
No, I didn't. I don't know where is it? I know. National. This is a good one. National Day against action. Let's see. National Day of Action Against Bullying and Violence.
That needs to be every day.
No kidding. Doesn't it?
Every day.
I know it. I hate bullies. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate bullies. I want to bully a bully.
If you've been on the receiving end
Oh,
of
I
that
hate
stuff,
bullies. I don't get it. Don't want to get it. Don't need to get National Preschool Teacher Appreciation Day. Tell me about a teacher that doesn't need to be appreciated more than a preschool teacher.
Right.
And National Preschool Appreciation Day. Let's see, what else do we have? I know we're going into the weekend, so there's more. Awkward Moment Day.
That's every day.
For you, it is. Biodiesel Day.
Oh, geez.
I don't know who comes up with a National Corn Dog Day. Oh, I miss my corn dogs. I haven't had any in a long time.
I've never been a fan of those.
Is that right? It's a summer thing for
Yeah,
me, corn dogs. And I get a lot of mustard. I dip them in mustard.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of mustard? Just regular yellow mustard, or is it grain mustard, or
I use green mustard. Wow.
grain mustard?
Oh, grain mustard. I use grain mustard. I like all kinds of mustards.
Okay.
One of my favorites is Durkee's.
Durkee's.
Have you ever heard of Durkee's?
No.
Oh yeah, it's good. Try it sometime.
The Grey Poupon.
I saw somebody. It's like that. It's like a Grey Poupon. Okay, here's the one that I keep telling my kids, and I'm going to remind them about this day. Forgive Mom and Dad Day.
That's an everyday one too.
Global Recycling Day.
That should be an everyday one.
I know it. International Sports Car Racing Day.
Okay.
All right. That happens up and down your street every night.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Certain nights more than others.
Oh my God, St. Louis City. We don't want to let them know where you live because Maple Syrup Day.
Mm,
You like maple syrup?
I do.
I like it too much.
It's better than
Too
the
much.
fake maple syrup.
Yeah.
It's more healthy for you.
What can you? Who eats that?
Some
fake
people do.
maple
Some people do.
syrup. Don't do it.
No.
National Quilting Day. I know that's something you do.
In my spare time,
Uh-huh.
while I'm making those,
Save the Florida Panther Day. Play the Recorder Day. You know, do you play the recorder? Have you ever played it?
I played recorder
I
in
always thought
third
that was-
grade. That's why I played the clarinet in fourth grade.
I always thought it was the dumbest name of an instrument in the world.
I think that's a dumb name for a holiday.
The Recorder Day. Enjoy and grab your flutes. It's time for the sound of some music. National Recorder Day. That's right. Don't forget. Pull your reed. Is it a reed? Do
No,
recorders have reeds?
No, they don't.
Okay. That's about all I know about flutes is that they have reeds.
Okay. Clarinets have reeds. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but
Yeah. Recorders do not. No.
no. Okay. Wow. See, you learn something new every day on this show. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left, maybe. If they don't throw us a National Supreme Sacrifice Day, I've only got a couple of more. Transit Driver Appreciation Day.
Okay.
Transit, and boy, can you imagine filling up one of those diesel trucks these days?
Ugh.
I mean, you wonder why the price of eggs is so big.
Yeah.
I know. And I'll finish it on this. There's more, but we're just gonna finish here because I know you have things to do too.
That's all right.
National Sloppy Joe Day.
Oh, I love sloppy joe.
Do you?
Yes.
Are you a Sloppy Joe guy?
Yes.
Okay. How do you eat the Sloppy Joe? Do you put it on the
I can eat them like a hamburger or open face. Either way.
open? I always thought the name Open Face was funny. Okay. I don't know why. An open face. What's an open face look like? So I listen, so I put it in. I put it on the bun,
Uh-huh.
and then every time when I pick it up, I have to squeeze it a little bit to hold it. It all falls
It
out.
spills out,
I
right?
know. It's like, what's the point?
Right. That's why I eat an open face
With
with a fork.
I know. So I do the same thing, and then sometimes I don't use the bun because I know it's fattening.
Yeah. You're
So I
trying to
just
save
slap it on
carbs.
there, right?
You're trying to save carbs.
I know.
Put it on lettuce.
All
It's
that's
wrap it in
wrong.
lettuce.
There's nothing right about anything I just said.
I know the founder of Campfire Girls now.
Okay,
His name is Luther Halsey Gulick.
hold it. It's a guy.
Yeah, he's a doctor, and his wife Charlotte, by the way.
All right.
In 1910,
Uh-huh.
the first non-sectarian organization created for girls in the United States.
Oh, nice.
The
Huh.
watchword Wohelo and parts of this ceremony were developed by Mrs. Gulick in the summer of 1910.
Wahilo.
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 Wahilo. That's how you say it.
Like
Wahilo.
Well, and they were born in Hawaii,
Ah,
so that might explain that.
okay.
That might explain that.
All right. Wow. A lot to explain.
Yeah, I don't know if some secret handshake or something
Uh-huh,
like that.
Right. The
Um,
Wahilo.
Oh, Hilo.
Secret handshake. And then there's a secret
So
face.
you know how sometimes moms put letters in the lunch bag of a kid?
Uh-huh.
This one was by Dad. Dad put this. Dad must have prepared the lunch.
Okay.
Your sandwich was made with ham, which won't taste like your mom's love, but does taste like ham. Dad.
Is that a dad joke?
So, and here was another one by Mom. This is not a note. This is also not a reminder that I love you. It is simply a very poor choice of napkin.
Oh. Okay. All right. Get that rooster out of here.
Then here's one, and we'll kind of close on this because this is a nice one.
Oh.
I forgot to buy more snacks. It was a note inside the lunch. I hope my love is enough fuel to get you through the day.
Oh. We should have an awe here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but that's all right. That was
Oh, and then we'll close with this one.
Okay.
It's a dad one.
Okay.
Dad was writing this one. Every time you don't eat your sandwich, a unicorn dies. Hashtag dad fact.
That is so bad. That is so bad. I know. Oh, Lord. I know.
Well, folks, that's all for this hour. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, when the Martians invade, I don't know. There's only one race, the human race, and every one of us have different characteristics and is uniquely valuable. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. For St. Louis in Tune, co-host Mark Langston, I'm Arnold Stricker. Remember to walk worthy and let your light shine.